Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. I am Shawn with Manly Made Minute, and wow, I realized it has been a hot Manly Made Minute since I have actually done a card video. I've been busy launching my 2 weekly and bi-weekly series. My bi-weekly series of scrappy shorts that comes out every other Saturday, and my Manly Made Minutes Monday Moments where I share tips, tricks, and helpful hints every Monday. And I realized I haven't done a card for quite some time. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to make a card. And I thought, perfect chance to do a new product that I bought. I am ecstatic about it. I love this product. I went and purchased the entire line, all 6, what do you want to call them, kits or sets. All 6 sets of the Tim Holtz watercolor pencils. And we're going to do some watercoloring. I bought a stamp set quite some time ago. I bought the Waffle Flower Poppy August Birth Flower set. This one here. I used the tall flower once and kind of forgot that I had this set, and I was like, what should I watercolor? And I wanted to something, you know, just fun to play with, just to show some technique, and then something easy, and I thought poppies. Poppies and paper we're going to do today. So we're going to use some poppies, we're going to use some designer series paper, because I haven't gotten out my designer series paper in quite some time, and make a super cute, super easy card that you can use any sentiment on. And I just can't wait to show you these colored pencils. I'm going to put a huge disclaimer out there. This is literally like my second time using these pencils. I bought a little sample pack quite some time ago, played with them, and I was like, I gotta get the whole set. I am not a watercolor person. I am not a painter. These are so easy, and we're gonna do more of a simple controlled technique with, you know, coloring within a stencil versus kind of free form and that kind of thing, because I'll get into that once I feel a little bit more comfortable. We'll do some freeform stuff, but I'm just going to do some simple watercoloring inside a stencil with some shadowing and things, and show you what I do, and we'll go from there. So here's the card we're going to make. Super adorable, super cute. See if I can get that to focus. There we go. We're going to watercolor the poppies. I've got some designer series paper we're going to put underneath and put a little sentiment on it, and call it a day. So let's go to my down camera. I want to show you the watercolor sets, what I've done with them, products we're going to use, and we're going to get stamping and we're going to get coloring. So let's head on down to the table. Okay, here we are. Here are our supplies. Here's everything we're going to use here for the evening. Just take a look one more time. This is the card we're going to make. I think this is just so cute and really easy to do. So we're going to do this one, and we're going to use our colored pencils and some designer series paper. Let's take a look at the pencils really quick. I bought all 6 sets. I'll grab the set that I had originally bought. I had bought originally set 6 to try. Then I saw these. I was playing with them just a little bit. Loved them. And then I saw these go on sale on Simon Says stamp. And they were 20% off for the whole set. Like, I'm gonna buy them. So I got these sets, and then I broke them down by color. That's just me. You don't have to. You can keep them in their sets like this, where they have all the individual different colors. You can do this if you get sick of it that way. It has on the back what the set is and what color should go in there. You can reorganize the sets again. But if you see, I just did my reds, oranges, and yellows, my greens, my blues, then I did my purples and violets with my grays and black here, my brown and earth tones all in one. And this was just so it's easier to grab colors that I'm kind of thinking of when I color. And so that's what I did for my poppies, is I just grabbed out my reds and my yellows and my greens that I wanted. And it was easier just to grab. So I'm going to set these aside because I've already pulled out my colors that I want to use. And I want to show you the designer series paper we're going to use. This is from the Recollections book. I believe I might have got this at Michael's. If I can find it, if it's still available, I'll put a link for this up on in the comments in the product list. I pulled this one out of here because It's got some poppies on it, and it's got the red and the yellow that I wanted to do with the greens that I wanted to do, and I thought it just matched what I wanted to do with these stamps really well. So this is what we're going to use for our designer series paper. And then this is the the Waffle Flower Poppy August Birth Flower stamp set. It comes with dies. I didn't buy the dies. I'm going to go back and buy the dies because after I'm done coloring here in this session, I'm going to fussy cut these out to put them on the card. But I'm going to go back and buy the dies. I always forget to buy the dies sometimes with some of these, and it just makes it much easier. So this is what we're going to do. What I have done is I pre-stamped this with VersaFine Onyx ink, and I let it dry. So I wanted to pre-stamp this so that this was dry, so that we can watercolor on it. So I'm using the VersaFine Onyx ink, and we're gonna watercolor onto this. Now, for our card, and I'll just cover this now because then we'll assemble here at the end. I am using a 5 1/4 by 4 inch black mat on the back. Okay, so I'll put all these measurements in my description. Then I'm using 5 inch by 3 3/4 white mat that's going to go on the top of that, like so. I pre-cut out my designer series paper and glued them together already. So I did 5 inch by 3/4 inch strips. I took some scrap pieces of white paper, cut it to the same size, so I layered 2 scrap pieces at 5 inch by 3/4 inch white paper, glued them together, then glued my designer series paper on there. So there's 3 layers of paper on here just to give it some sturdiness, some bulk, and then it just gives me a little bit of dimension on that card. I will tell you, this is what I have learned that Jennifer McGuire does all the time. I started doing it because it uses up scraps, adds dimension to the cards, and I like a lot of dimension, and I love it. I love this idea, and I've been doing it with sentiments. I've been doing it with stuff like this. So I've pre-cut these, and then I've got a video coming out about gutting on a Monday moment, and this is from my gutting, and I just had some pre-made oval that I use for like sentiments and stuff. And so I have already glued the white layer onto the black layer, and we'll stamp this, and then we'll assemble. All right, let's get coloring. Now, this is similar to the coloring I have done, and I bought a water brush. It's just a generic water brush. This came with a watercolor set that I bought because I also bought some watercolors to start trying because I'm really liking the watercolor and all that kind of stuff, and I want to get better at it. So this is one I'm just kind of pushing myself a little bit outside my little comfort zone. So I'm going to grab just a scratch sheet of paper. Since you know what? No, I won't. I'm just going to move my glass mat over because it's just easier with glass mat. Just going to move my glass mat. I apologize for the light glaring on there. And I use this to dab off my water and if I get too loaded up with color, because I'll show you a couple of different ways to do this coloring. So, all right, let's get coloring. Now, I have pulled out, for my poppy colors, I am using the Festive Berries for one. Then in the middle, I'm using Mustard Seed. Then on the other one, middle is going to be Fossilized Amber. Then Mustard Seed and Wild Honey for my other poppy, okay? And then the leaves, I'm layering Twisted Citron with Lucky Clover on my leaves. All right, let's start with the red poppy. And I want to just give you a little close-up here. These are similar to some of the other stamps that I've colored, like with colored pencils, where the artist has put in some lines and some dimensions. I use those to guide me on where to put some darker shadowing. So I do darker shadowing at the base, underneath the leaves, like it's going to be a little darker shadow around there. And then I pull it up through some of these lines. And then on the folds, I'll use that to either highlight or darken to low light. and then that's where I color from. So let's just do, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start here in the center, and this is gonna end up yellow. So I'm gonna just go put a heavy kind of coat up against this, because I want this to be darker from the center, and then I will pull this out. This is like coloring with a crayon. It is so easy. I will say this about the pencils. If you want that more washy watercolor technique like this, where I'm staying contained in the lines, you can do it. Don't put as much down. You're going to want a little bit more washed out. If I'm just going to do, say, like, you know, something like this, where I'm just going to wash something out and then have like a splash of color, and then you could load, you know, if you load this up with a little bit more water, spread that out. But that's not what I'm doing with this one. I'm doing a little bit more heavy shadow and highlight kind of thing with the flowers. And you'll see that on the example. All right, so now I'm just gonna throw some here. Now I'm gonna use some of these lines to come up and give myself a little bit on that top edge. Little fold here, so I'm gonna give a little shadow here, a little bit of line. On the folds, I went darker instead of lighter. So I filled this in, because the more that you fill this in, the more it becomes pigmentized, and it doesn't wash out. And I'll show you, because I'll end up reloading to add more pigment when I wash this out. So on these folds, I'm giving it heavy pigment. Another fold here, so I'll kind of follow that up and then follow that fold of the flower just a little bit. And there's no rhyme or reason. I mean, this is creative, whatever you see. Like this I want to use as a fold, and a little bit at that top edge, another fold maybe here in that top edge. I will have to say this about these colored pencils, y'all. This is just something that I never thought I'd be doing, like some watercoloring and things. I've watched people do it. I'm like, yeah, there's just no way, and I'm not that great at it. This is an easy way to start with these pencils, because they do kind of the work for you. You just got to have the eye of where you want to shadow things and how you want to darken things and where the highlights and lowlights would be. And here's another thing to do, and I did this for this card. Go on the internet and Google, like I Googled poppy colors, and then I just started looking at pictures of different colors, because then I was like, I wasn't sure what I knew red poppies, but I wanted to see if they had different colors. And then I was just kind of looking at the picture of like how the sun was hitting it and highlights and lowlights, and that's kind of what I'm trying to mimic by doing this. Okay, so this is pretty much the color for the first one. All right, so I'm gonna start watercoloring this. And with having one brush and using it for different colors, you may have to wash this out or just get some water going and then get that. You can see it was turned a little pink from the last time I used it. So if I'm going from the pink to the yellow, I just want to wash that down to get that red off of there. All right. I don't want a lot of water on this right now, because I don't want this to wash out, and I want to stay within the lines. And I still want to keep some solid kind of color. So dabbing off my water. And light-handedly, I'm going in, and it almost diminishes like colored pencils and Gamsol does. But you got to move it. You got to make sure you're moving it, otherwise it'll stay down where you wet it, and it starts soaking in pretty good. I am not using watercolor paper on this one. I'm just using regular Nina Solar Crest, because I'm not throwing down a ton of water. All right. In these darker spots, now I'm keeping it very pigmented. I'm not washing that down on where I threw down a lot of pigment in there, because I want that to stay dark. And then same thing, get that wet and then start pulling that up, and then pull off that edge to get some color back up in there. And as this dries, we're gonna go back in and pull some color off the pencil itself to add a little more where I want more. And then there's kind of three ways you can do this. You can throw this on the paper. You can use your brush and pull it off the pencil, or dip the pencil in water and it'll soften it and throw it down from there. So a couple different ways you can pull pigment off of these pencils. And I would encourage us to like pull some other stuff besides flowers out to watercolor. Start doing some backgrounds, you know, stuff like this. If I'm gonna do it on this, I'm gonna get out some watercolor paper though, because I'm throwing down more water. This I'm using very little water. And you can see I'm trying to leave where I put a lot of pigment down. I'm trying to leave it heavy down in there and just slowly pull that up lighter to the edges. And then I'm going to go back through and throw down just a little more pigment in some of these spots when I get this spread out. If anybody else has used these and you're watching, by all means, let me know. Throw a comment in there. Oh, I forgot a spot, looks like. Let me know. Do you like them? I've seen some comments from other people that some do, some don't. These they throw down color different than anything I've used before, which is just kind of fun to play with. Okay, this is the first round of my color. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in on some of these where I want to throw in a little bit extra color and I want to go a little deeper, darker down at the bases. Now I'm going to take, and see if I can get this close on the camera. I'm going to use my water, don't want to drip. Use my water, wet this down, and start putting, now you can see how much pigment I got on that brush. It's going to, if I throw this down, it's a pretty good pigment. It'll color. Like this is going to get kind of solid. So be conscious of that, because if I just do this and go straight to paper, it's going to get pretty dark, where now I don't want to ruin what I have. So I might wash this down just slightly, and then I'm going to pull from this, right? All right, let's see here so I don't get the mushed in there. I'm going to go back into my base here just a little bit and just pull some up and wash that out. Pull up. So it's almost like I'm going in and reshadowing just a little bit, deepening where I want to darken. Once this is down, I have found it gets a little hard to rewash it down and out. Could be because with this sample I wasn't using watercolor paper, but it's pretty pigmented. And this is just one of those, you know, watercolor is kind of throw it down and move it around and play, right? And I just want to get some darker spots in here just because poppies tend to be pretty bright red. For red ones anyway. I know I've gone out of lines a couple times, but that's okay. I'm going to fussy cut this one out. All right, I think I'm happy with that. So here's the first one. I'm going to do this one red, and then I'm going to go to this one yellow. So the middle of this one, I am using the I think it was going to be the fossilized amber. I'm just throwing color in there, and then spread it out. I want to get some of that red off of there, get some pink off of there, and then you're just going to spread that around. That's it for that middle. Super easy. All right, let's just do this red. Same concept on this one. I'm going to throw down heavy pigment here on my folds. And then heavy at the base. and then follow some of those folds and across the top, because it helps me bring some of that color down and throw in some shadow. A little color underneath those petals where you know it's going to be a little darker from shadowing. All right, just like so. All right, and same thing. Get that yellow off of there. And you see this is starting to dry. It'll on my glass mat, it'll re-wet. This will re-wet for sure. On paper, it'll soak in, so just be conscious of that. All right, now let's get, I don't want too wet for this first round. I'm just gonna go in and get my base and start pulling that base out. A little bit lighter towards those tips. I went and purchased, I was talking about some watercolors I purchased. I threw some comments out on a Facebook group I'm on, a card making Facebook group, because I was thinking about doing watercolors, and there was a lot of watercolors being posted, so I posted just recommendation. I ended up purchasing Me Laying to try. Everyone seems to like lean towards that, you know, and I just said I want a cheaper, I shouldn't say cheap, cheaper first set, again, because I don't know how much I'm going to like it, even though I'm really liking these pencils. And I wanted to try it, because I hadn't tried it, and I'm seeing all these just gorgeous watercolor things, and I was like, okay, I gotta try some watercolor. But I didn't want to commit to anything major until I knew if I was going to do it a lot, or just have something to have a set to do a card every now and then. So I didn't want to commit too heavy. All right, that's the first round. Gosh, it's almost like I almost like it where it's at, because I've got some nice highlight. I'm gonna throw just a tiny bit of color in there. So I'm gonna do the same thing. Gonna get this wet. I'm squeezing a little bit of water out of my brush to get it wet, so I get that pigment starting to layer up on that pencil, or on my brush, excuse me. I'm gonna throw that down here. And I'm going to use this to pick up. Don't have a ton of water again, because I still want this to stay pretty pigmented now. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to throw down a ton, because I don't want to ruin some of these highlights that are in here. I'm just going to give it some squiggles. Throw some shadows in there. I think that's good. Yeah, that's good. All right, same thing. I'm using my fossilized amber. Give it a little color in there. Get my pink off, or my red off. And swirl that around to color that in. Done with that. All right, my yellow. The yellow poppy that I found online, it was yellow, but then from the base up, it kind of had an orangey kind of burnt look, and they kind of melded. So I'm gonna do yellow around my top edge, the mustard seed. I'm gonna do the wild honey middle up, and I'm gonna blend the two to the middle. A little bit different than this one. And on these darker shadows, like I did here, I'm gonna throw the wild honey on there just to give it a little deeper base. All right, so now I'm gonna go up and around, and then all this brighter yellow I'm going to throw at that top edge, like so, and then just kind of bring it down a little bit, down those edges of those petals. And I'm going to use that wild honey as my shadow as well. I gotta go get the dyes for these. I'm gonna definitely see myself using these poppies a lot more. I really like these stamps. They're really cute, and super easy to color in, so that you can you know, do stuff like this. I could just stamp them, or I could, you know, stamp over color and then just cut them out, which would be nice. So I gotta get the dyes for these. There's my yellow. Now I'm going to use this Wild Honey. I'm going to use this as that shadow base color. And just kind of pull it up, squiggle up towards that yellow. I'm going to use it as my dark on these rolling petals. Like so. Shadow here. Throw up a shadow here and there on those folds. All right. Same concept for the brushing. Just getting the red off, and now I'm just not loading up a ton of color. I'm going to go light, pull the light down first, then I'm going to bring that dark up. So I'm just going to go around my edges and pull that to the edge, and then pull this down. You know, when you do stuff like this, I was just kind of thinking to myself, like, God, it kind of makes you proud sometimes going, okay, I'm totally doing a new technique. Not super, this is like, I think the tool itself, like the pencil itself, is making it easy to do. And so it's kind of cool to try something new and feel like you're not doing too bad at it, right? Like, especially because, I mean, supplies are expensive and new tools are expensive, and we commit thinking, okay, if I'm going to buy something new, I got to use it, or I better use it. And I'm going to just pull just a tiny bit. I want just a tiny bit of that yellow. Get that wet. You'll see it load up on the brush. I just kind of want to wash out some of that dark with light to give it a more blend. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop because I'm digging it. I'm totally digging it. Now what I did with the middle of this one, and let me find where my pencil went to on me. I'm not sure if I threw it back in or not. I might have thrown it back in. I took a brown, gathered twigs, and I'm going to throw a little gathered twig on this one, and then I'm going to throw a little bit of the green on this one, so lucky clover, and I'm just swirling and mushing. That's all I'm doing. No technique whatsoever. And then just wash those together, and there you have it. There are our 3 flowers. So easy. You can, now they're drying, you can go back on and layer some more. If you want to layer more, give it some more dimension. I'm going to move on to my leaves. All right, leaves. I took my darker one, so my lucky clover. I'm going to end up cutting the stems off anyway because they're going to get tucked under the flowers on the edge of that sentiment. So I'm just going up the veins of the leaves and then giving a few little splashes of color around. So veins and some little splashes. And I tend to like 2 to 3 colors when I do leaves. So I'll usually use a dark green, a light to medium green, and I throw in a little bit of yellow more often than not. Personal preference. I just kind of like that look, so it gives it some highlights and texture in the flowers. So I did that. Now I'm using the Twisted Citron and filling in, but not completely filling in those white spaces because I'm going to wash it down. If you are coloring over, like I'm coloring right over that dark, that's okay. It's not like a watercolor pan where it's going to mix together. You can see I don't even have really any of that dark on that pencil, so that's totally fine. All right. I'm going to pick up just a little bit of this yellow just because I have it sitting there and because. Light-handedly, I'm not throwing a ton of water down on these because they're smaller and I don't want this to wash too much. This is more of, the way I'm doing these, I would say it's watercolor, right? But it's more of a coloring than total watercolor. Like, not the washy kind of watercolor. It's more coloring. And that's what I wanted to start with, that because that's my comfort zone. I know I can do that part of it. I mean, Copics and stuff I'd need a little more practice with, but like I knew I could color these versus trying to get it too washy and freehand a poppy on a piece of paper, right? This way I can follow a stencil. All right, I like them, I like them, I like them. There you have it. There is our 2 reds, a yellowy, orangey poppy, and then our leaves. So I'm going to fussy cut these out. I'm not going to let you guys be painful and watch me fussy cut or even put on high speed. I'm going to cut them. I will come back, and then we're going to assemble these cards, or this card, for our final little product. So, all right, I will be right back in a hot split second. And we're back. I have fussy cut out my flowers and leaves. So as you see here, took me 3 to 5 minutes. So not very long to cut these pieces out, to fussy cut all of these out. Now we're going to assemble. So before I assemble these, I want to stamp my sentiment. So I just would show you what I did. So I did my 2 layers, a white and a black matting layer. I have a with love sentiment that I'm going to do. I have lost my magnet, so I'm just going to throw down a little bit of tape. And I'm going to go this direction. And I think that looks pretty good. And we're just going to stamp this. I'm using archival ink for this one. It's just one of my more favorite blacks. It just seems to get pretty crisp for me. It's a squishy stamp, so I'm not giving it a lot of pressure, just kind of tapping that in. All right, that is my sentiment layer. And here's how we're going to assemble this card. So let's just start first by gluing my matte layers together. These are just normal cut with my Fiskars. You could use stitching dies. You could use, you know, if you want to get crazy with your layers, go right ahead. I just kept it super simple. I want more of my design paper and things to be the focus on this one. And it looks like I got some ink or something. All right, a little timeout just to clean that up. I might actually make sure maybe my paper's over that. Now, I took these pre-cut 3/4 inch by 5 inch designer series paper and then 2 layers of white paper behind it. And I'm going to lay them this direction. I have 2 little mistakes, so this time I'm going to run these out closer to the edge than I did with my last card, and then center that one. So let's get those glued down. I'm going to grab my tweezers. I don't know if I've got something on my fingers. So I have a little mistake there, so I'm going to try to cover that up, and then I'll just make sure it's even on both sides. Okay. My paper didn't really have a direction for flowers. They were all kind of, so I don't have to make sure this is all up and down or anything. And we'll just even this out, which that should help cover my little fingerprint on this side. Like so. And then I'll just center this last one right in the middle of that. So what this does by layering up your pieces of paper behind that, it gives me a slight dimension on my strips. I chose 2. You could do, I've done it where I've just done 1 just to give it a tiny bit, and then I'm still popping everything else up on with dimensionals on this card too, but I just wanted these to pop off that white background a little bit. So it's a little textury. Okay, now I'm going to glue this base down. Onto my card base. And I'm just going to put my little weight that I use to make sure that adheres. It gets nice and flat while I assemble this. Have a little piece of tape still on the back, so I'm going to set that down. And I had you can see in my example, so I had the larger flower, then the little red one at the bottom, and then that yellow I felt going this way filled in pretty nice between the two. And then my flower was kind of going up this way, so I did the up on this version and flipped it coming down on this version. All right, so then I just place on the back side here, and I ended up putting in, and you'll see when we put dimensionals on, I put a little dimensional on the overhang, just so that it would stay down. I like these poppies. I really like these poppies. And then this one, now I put dimensionals on this middle one to pop that up. I used really small, relatively thin, because I don't want this to pop up a whole ton on this one. And these are a pack of dimensionals I got off of, I think, Amazon. If I find, I'll put the link for these ones as well. I'm just going to do one more down there. So then I layer this one over top of those two, and then I glue my leaves in and around all this. Right, and I want that to kind of go around the words as much as possible. So I think I split it on this one too. So I'm going to split it here between those petals. Okay. Now I'm going to throw dimensionals on this, and I'm using larger dimensionals so that this pops up off of this, and then has enough to lay down on those edges. So I threw just on this big one here, I threw like 2 to hold that edge down, and then 1 here to hold that edge down. And then I know I'm going to center this, so I'm going right down the middle because it's going to lay on that middle strip. Right, nice and adhered, nice and flat. Let's take our dimensionals off, and then we'll just center this. Oh, you know what, before I do that, my leaves. Let's get those leaves on there. So I think we're going to kind of mimic what I did before. Let's see here. This one might have to come out from here. And then there. Yep, I like that. And I'm kind of tucking it underneath. You know, sometimes you hit a dimensional, so you just got to figure out where. Where to kind of find a little piece to put it in, you know, a little opening there. Poppies and paper, we'll call this one. Poppies and paper. I was thinking poppies and plaid, And then I was totally going to do a plaid theme, and I found this paper, and then I was like, yeah, no, plaid's going to lose out today. I think the plaid would have looked super cute with this too, but when I found this paper, it matched the colors and stuff I wanted to do, so I was like, yeah, I got to do this. Get that floral paper out. I actually could throw some little dimensionals on here too. I think I might throw some sequins on there or something. All right, let's get these off. Yeah, now that I'm looking at my finished one, I feel like I need a little gem or sequins or something in those spaces around that sentiment. Throw them on the carpet, because then they'll just track all over the house, and like always, right? Okay, center this down this way, across the middle, and then down the rest of that card. There we have it. Let me grab some, I want to throw something on there. I wonder if we should just do some, yeah, let's just do some. I have these little gemstones, so we're just going to throw these up on there. We'll use red for the red poppy. And I think I'm going to go right about here, here, and we'll throw one over here. I have a gem picker, and I'm not sure where I put it. Here we go. Just recently cleaned my craft room and rearranged, and can't remember where I put stuff. Yeah, just a little something. I'm gonna have to add it to this one. There we have it. There's our card. Super easy technique for the watercolor. Easy, just get some designer series paper, pop it up on some scraps, and then these were cut from scraps as well. So, all right, let's finish this out. There you have it, poppies and paper. I am so sorry I haven't done a card for a while. I've got to get in the habit of throwing a card in here a couple times a month in the midst of my 2 series that I have on my YouTube channel as well. But here's my card. Let's see if that'll focus. It's focusing nice. Super easy technique. Again, the watercolor, wash it as much as you want, highlight, lowlight it as much as you want. These pencils are super easy, very creamy. Like as you wash them out, very creamy, they spread really nice. Really, really nice. I'm loving these pencils. I'm definitely going to have to use them a lot more. And then kind of play with my little pan set that I bought as well. Thank you so much everyone for being here. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you following me on my channel. Do me a huge favor, if you like what you see, hit that like, subscribe, and bell button and get notified next time I upload my next video. We have Manly Made Moment that comes out every Monday. I have Scrappy Shorts that comes out every other Saturday. And I will make sure we throw a card in there every now and then at the same time. So thank you so much, and until next time, I'll see you then.